Hello, everyone. You're listening to Psychology Outside the Box. The internet is full of psychology wannabes and posers who are trying to replace me. Well, it's payback time. My name is Dr. Flower. I have a PhD in psychology, so I'm not a wannabe or a knockoff. I've been teaching college and university courses for 20 years. Psychology is a vast field that connects to many things in your life. If you have a curious mind, you're definitely in the right place. This podcast will be interesting and informative, fun but factual. I want you to learn but also enjoy the experience. Some topics will be mainstream, but others will be outside the box, far beyond the ordinary. There will be lots of surprises. I will open your mind to new ideas and new ways of thinking. So sit back and enjoy the ride. One of the lines from this song is, "Tell me more, tell me more, was it love at first sight?" And love at first sight is our topic for today. This line is from the song Summer Nights in the hit musical Grease with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. Grease was the highest grossing movie of 1978 and one of the highest grossing musicals ever. Grease wanted their stars to look like teenagers, but this wasn't easy since most of the primary cast were in their 30s or late 20s. John Travolta was relatively young at 23, and he really did his own singing in the movie. Switching now to the present day, Love at First Sight is a romantic comedy that premiered on Netflix in September 2023. Hadley is a 20-year-old American student who just misses her flight to London, but is rebooked on the next. While at the mobile phone charging station, she meets British 22-year-old Yale student Oliver. Getting along well, they eat dinner together at the cafeteria. After boarding, they part ways, but as Oliver's seatbelt is broken, he is moved to the seat next to Hadley. So they are seated together for the 6-hour, 47-minute flight and apparently spend the whole time falling in love. Maybe I'm being too fussy, or maybe it's just a guy thing, but it wasn't exactly love at first sight for Hadley and Oliver. There were no fireworks or sparks when they first met. They had to spend 7 hours together to make a connection. Maybe it should have been called love at first flight. After landing, they lose each other, and with the entire city of London between them, can Hadley and Oliver reunite? My lips are sealed. Love at first sight can come at you fast, any day and anywhere, anytime. A 2013 meta-analysis conducted by Syracuse University professor Stephanie Ortigue reveals that falling in love can produce the same euphoric feeling as using cocaine. As it turns out, love is just like an addiction. Ortigue also found that falling in love only takes about a fifth of a second. So love at first sight can be sudden, but also intense and intoxicating. Some people describe it as a moment where nothing else matters around you when you see and talk to each other for the first time. It's the feeling you get when you don't want the moment to end because you feel a connection with another person that you haven't felt before. There's a feeling in one's gut or heart or brain that there's something special about this person that you are instantly attracted to. First, a few celebrities who had a love at first sight experience. Prince Harry reportedly experienced it, saying he knew Meghan Markle was the one for him the very first time they met. Alan took my breath away, Portia de Rossi recalls about meeting wife Ellen DeGeneres for the first time. That had never happened to me in my life, where I saw somebody and experienced all those things you hear about in songs and read about in poetry. Movie and TV stars John Krasinski and Emily Blunt had no doubts in their mind that they were made for each other. As soon as Blunt saw Krasinski while having lunch with a friend, she knew he was destined for her. And that was it. They married in 2010, share 2 daughters, and are completely obsessed with one another 14 years into the marriage. Of course, celebrities are not alone in having this experience. Whether you believe in love at first sight or not, it seems to happen all the time. A 2017 survey of over 5,000 single adults found that 4 in 10 of them had love at first sight experience, and slightly more often men than women. Another survey from 2013 found that 56% of Americans believe in love at first sight, and the figure was even higher for married people and those already in relationships. And so the belief in love at first sight is a common and popular one, and this experience also exists in many other countries. In French, love at first sight is a coup de foudre, meaning you're struck by lightning. In Spanish, it's amor a primera vista. In German, it's Liebe auf den ersten Blick. Lots of people seem to have the experience, but feelings may differ from one person to the next. For me, love at first sight is like getting the last piece of moist triple-layered chocolate fudge cake. It is irresistible and brings immediate joy. So, is love at first sight real, or is it all fairy tale and fantasy? It definitely does happen to many people, men and women everywhere, so we can be pretty sure that it's a real phenomenon. It's not a crazy dream, delusion, or hallucination that requires therapy or medication. So we can definitely accept that the experience of love at first sight really and truly happens. Much less clear is exactly what it means. Is it really love at first sight or just lust? Is it just a nice way of saying that you like someone for their looks and not their personality? Is it going to be a lasting relationship or a brief, exciting fling? Relationship therapists generally agree that love at first sight is usually a combination of infatuation and lust, which is driven mostly by physical attraction and desire. Although love at first sight can happen, it's very possible those butterflies are just the lustful kind and based mostly on physical attraction. Truth is, it can be hard to tell what's really going on when you first meet someone. Love at first sight may trigger a series of chemical changes that can fool you into thinking that what you feel is true love. This irresistible sensation is linked to the release of hormones and neurotransmitters in the brain, which can cause strong physical reactions such as increased heart rate, sweating, and butterflies in your stomach. Perhaps you have heard or read about the happy hormones. Our brains release oxytocin, which is the love hormone, dopamine, which is the feel-good hormone, and serotonin, which increases happiness. Endorphins and serotonin are both chemicals in your body that make you happy, but they function in different ways. It is these chemicals, when released during intercourse, that will give mind-blowing orgasm. While our body is being stimulated, our brain is being stimulated as well. The ventral tegmental area is also known as the pleasure center of the brain. The VTA is one of the main areas that produces dopamine, which produces feelings of pleasure. Sex, shopping, gambling, social media, chocolate, smelling cookies baking in the oven, all release dopamine. And so does nicotine, alcohol, and marijuana. But the largest release of dopamine in the reward center of the brain is produced by hard drugs such as cocaine, heroin, and meth. And that is why these drugs are so addictive and likely to be abused. All these things can cause a dopamine rush. So the passion you feel with love at first sight is fueled by a large spike of dopamine in the brain. Recognizing the difference between love and infatuation can be difficult, especially if you grew up watching Disney movies and romantic comedies. These feelings seem like two sides of the same coin, but love is deep and built as a result of time and trust, while infatuation is a faster burn that is more like an intense crush. It's really hard to distinguish the two at the beginning. During a love at first sight experience, your brain is flooded by all these different chemicals. This whirlwind combination can lead you to feel excited, passionate, turned on, and overwhelmed all at once, as if you've suddenly fallen in love. This phase of euphoria lasts only a few months and is also known as the honeymoon stage. There's lots of evidence that our brain can be easily fooled in many different ways. Ever felt your phone buzz in your pocket, then pulled it out to find no text, no call, no notification? Well, you're not alone. It is a very common experience, and most people admit to occasionally having this feeling. Phantom limb pain feels like it's coming from an arm or leg that was recently amputated. It feels real, but exists only in the brain. Dreams may be pleasant, such as shopping with friends, or terrifying, such as being chased by zombies. They seem real in the moment, but then vanish when we wake up. You can also find hundreds of optical illusions on the internet that are fun, but will fool your brain. Even sunrises and sunsets are illusions. The sun doesn't rise or set at all, and it doesn't move. In the solar system, the sun is fixed in one spot, while everything else is moving. The Earth rotates on its axis as it circles around the sun, and this produces the illusion of the sun rising and setting. Personally, I have always loved science, but some of you may feel that this explanation has ruined the beauty and romance of sunrises and sunsets. I know what you're thinking. Thanks a lot, Mr. Mood Killer. Since you're already feeling down, here's some more bad news. Twinkies don't really last forever. Microwaving your cell phone won't charge it. You aren't going to win the lottery this weekend. You can't really lose weight or learn a new language while you're sleeping. And there is no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Yes, our brain is fooled all the time into seeing and feeling things that aren't really there. So it isn't at all surprising that we can be tricked by love at first sight. Chemical reactions make love at first sight feel real in that moment, like a spectacular sunrise, but it's not exactly what we imagined it to be. Initial attraction to another person is certainly one reason you may decide to pursue a relationship. But long-lasting love involves so much more than that early spark. As Wendy Gould explains in her 2023 article, the reality is that true love develops over time as you get to know a person. As a relationship progresses, you'll naturally become more attracted, more deeply attached, and will develop a deep sense of caring, trust, and loyalty toward the other. Sadly, the powerful feelings that you have may not even be mutual or shared by the other person. And love at first sight often turns out to be one-sided. How she feels about you is every bit as important as how you feel about her. If you feel that spark with someone, great, but don't run to the altar. Instead, take a deep breath and then go out with them again and again. Get to know them in every way. Love at first sight may drive you to want to know more. It's a readiness to fall in love and experience everything with this new person. So for now, take a deep breath and enjoy the intoxicating emotion, because it is a beautiful feeling, and you deserve to have that feeling. At the same time, step back, take it slow, and begin the process of really showing your authentic self and getting to know who they are. Then see over time if it is a great match or not. It's easy for anyone to put up a facade for a short while, but it's only after much time together that a person's true colors shine through. Pace yourself and try to hold off on the big decisions, like moving in together, meeting each other's families, or making a serious commitment like marriage. So is love at first sight a real thing? The answer is both yes and no. The chemical reactions in your brain are definitely real, and they most certainly produce powerful sensations and feelings. But is it true and lasting love? Not really, not yet. Maybe later on, but not right away. Whether the connection grows and lasts, that's the story of true love. While you may feel butterflies right away and end up falling in love, you also might not, and both are perfectly normal experiences. One internet meme says, "Do you believe in love at first sight, or do I have to walk by you again?" It's amusing, but also true. If your first meeting wasn't all fireworks, magic, and butterflies, can you eventually grow to fall for that person? Yes, as long as you keep your heart and mind open. There's nothing wrong with love at second or third sight. Just because you don't experience that initial attraction doesn't mean the relationship is doomed or that love won't develop. Love at second sight may not make for a thrilling box office hit, but it is just as likely to end in happily ever after, maybe even more likely. Many people claim they've fallen in love with someone they weren't initially attracted to. So slow burn relationships can work out wonderfully too. And you shouldn't panic if you don't feel that jolt of attraction right away. When our children were young, we watched lots of movies together as a family. Many were Disney movies with wonderful animation, scripts, and catchy songs. I still find myself singing some of them, like Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid. In the Disney version, Ariel, in human form, marries Prince Eric and they sail off into the sunset to live happily ever after. The original story of The Little Mermaid was written by Danish author Hans Christian Andersen. It is quite different from the Disney movie and also much darker. It's not a happy ending for the mermaid. Especially young people may look to TV and movies for examples of romantic love, which could pose problems if the examples shown are unrealistic. On the other hand, would we go to movies if they were too realistic? Why would we watch movies to be disappointed? We've already got life for that. Psychologists have known for decades that young people may be influenced by the never-ending stream of violence on TV, movies, and video games. In a similar manner, even though we know romantic comedies are not meant to portray real life, we are still influenced by what we see. This will happen to us unconsciously, without our knowledge or awareness, whether we want it to or not. It will affect us the same way as exposure marketing, where ads for products pop up all over the internet. Advertising works because all those ads put the product at the front of the customer's mind, making it easy to remember. TV, movies, magazines, music, all like to portray the notion of love at first sight. We've been trained to expect love to strike like lightning, quick and hot, setting your hair and life on fire. This can create unrealistic expectations. Constant exposure to romantic images will literally rewire the brain. Our memories, beliefs, and expectations become a jumbled mix of fact and fiction. Romantic films are designed to give us something we very much crave in our personal lives. These are often promises of a happy ending and romance that is far from the messiness of real life. Even happy endings in the movies will give us feelings of pure pleasure. It may not be equal to a mind-blowing orgasm, but it certainly feels really good because we are still getting a big dopamine rush. I will finish by admitting that I'm still a little confused by the expression love at first sight. If we also believe that love is blind, then how can there ever be love at first sight? All right, I'm not being serious. That was just a play on words. Well, all good things must come to an end, including this podcast. But in the words of the Terminator, I'll be back. And I hope you will too. As Bill Murray once said, whatever you do, always give 100%. That is, of course, unless you're donating blood. If you enjoyed the podcast, please help me to attract more listeners by leaving a positive review. As you may already know, my true purpose and goal is complete world domination. As they say, go big or go home. Where Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, and Napoleon Bonaparte failed, we will succeed. With your help, my followers will grow and grow until we are unstoppable. But even if more listeners do come, you will always be my first and most favorite. Join my next podcast in 7 to 10 days. It would be truly awesome if you could follow Psychology Outside the Box on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, folks, it's all over for today. We're finished. We reached the end. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I will miss you so very much.